Welcome to the Nonmember project. Today we're talking to Francis. Francis, thanks for being on. Do
Thank you for having me.
you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. I'm Francis, or that's in Arabic, you can call me Francis too. I'm from Bethlehem, Palestine. I grew up there all my life, and I'm studying right now computer science. I'm a junior, and I just like to play sports and hang out with friends.
Nice. So how did you decide to come to BYU?
Oh, that's a long question. It all started when I was a kid. I always just knew that I didn't want to stay back home. The education wasn't the best education, so I always knew that I wanted to do something different and move out. So at 8th grade, it's kind of decided in my mind, I'm gonna leave Bethlehem, I'm going away. So I started just looking at different places, different scholarships, what I should do. And in my process, I found the Jerusalem Center. BYU were giving 3 annual full tuition scholarships every year. So I applied for one of them, and then I was able to get it. After I got the scholarship, but BYU wasn't my first choice or anything. But because of the scholarship, I ended up going here because it was the best option.
Heck yeah. And how about you, can you explain a little bit of the Jerusalem Center for people that don't know what it is?
Yeah, so the Jerusalem Center is one of the BYU, you can say, study abroad centers or part of the BYU. It offers Middle Eastern studies. BYU gives scholarships for Palestinians every year to show them, oh hey, we care about you, good education. And it's it's a really amazing place. It's built on top of Olive Mountain. It has an amazing view, and it's a good center.
Nice.
They give scholarships.
Did you know about the Jerusalem Center in Palestine when you were growing up?
Growing up, no one talked about it. It wasn't a common thing. Everyone talks about it. I only got to hear about it after my aunt recommended, oh hey, there was this scholarship that one of her friends was responsible for in managing, and it ended up being the BYU scholarship through the Jerusalem Center. But other than that, I never heard about it before that.
Mm-hmm. What religions did you interact with growing up in Palestine?
Growing up, there was a lot of different religions. Mainly Bethlehem is one of the only cities in Palestine left with actually the Christian vibe, a lot of Christians. So there's a lot of Catholics and Orthodox and Syrian Christians. There was a lot of that and the other Christian dominations. Also, there was a lot of Muslims. That was a daily interaction between Muslims and Christians. Jews, I have to say, there wasn't so much interaction in Bethlehem. Mainly when you go to Israel, you see Jews, but it's not day-to-day interaction with them.
Okay, cool. So you grew up with a lot of Muslim friends and a lot of different denominational Christian friends.
Exactly.
And you're right across, so you're Christian.
Yeah.
But which denomination are you?
So I'd say I'm a mix of both, Catholic and Orthodox. My dad is Catholic, my mom is Greek Orthodox. So I'm a combination of both. But mainly I'd say I'm Catholic, but we still sometimes go to the Orthodox church and celebrate differently. Especially mainly it's when we like to celebrate Christmas with the Catholic. It's on December 25th, the traditional day. However, Easter it's more fun on the Orthodox side because they do more traditions. There is more celebrations, especially the Saturday of Light, where our Christians they go to the church where Jesus' grave is, and then from there there's a priest praying for a week without anything, and at the Saturday of Light he comes out with a candle lit in. How it is, the tradition is it's automatically lit by the light of Christ. So he leaves the grave with the candle, and then the light just goes all around town. Everyone just carries it. So Easter is more fun on Orthodox than Catholic.
That's super cool. I did not know about that tradition. And is that something that only happens in Bethlehem, or?
It starts in Jerusalem.
Okay, cool.
It's in the Church of Holy Specular, where Jesus' grave is, and then the light goes all across town. And then the same day, scouts were all over the town walking in the old streets, just playing drums and music and just festival celebrations.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. What are some things that you learned about other faiths outside of Christianity growing up in Bethlehem that you've kind of carried into your life here at BYU?
One of the most important things is it doesn't matter, I just learned it doesn't matter what your faith is, Christian, Catholic, Orthodox, Muslim or anything. It all depends on the person you are and how you is. Back home, it's not even a topic, oh, you don't ask, are you Christian, Catholic, or are you Muslim or whatever. You just treat everyone the same with compassion, love, and it doesn't matter who they are. Religion doesn't matter, it's just a personal belief. It doesn't determine what the person is and who they are.
That's cool. So had you encountered Latter-day Saints before you came to BYU?
The only place was in the Jerusalem Center. However, my interaction with them were like very minimal. It wasn't like they just like I met them, say hi, but it wasn't like direct interactions or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Palestine, they're not allowed to spread their faith or like just do missionary work.
Right.
It's not legally allowed. So they only just go to the Jerusalem Center. So I haven't met them before coming to BYU and like actually had a full conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Did you research yourself anything about Latter-day Saints before you came here?
I did a little bit. It was like I was super stressed at the first. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
what am I getting myself here? BYU, it's a church school. I've been all my life in like a Catholic school, so it's like, oh, I'm moving again to another church school. I wanted to
Mhm.
get out of that. So I was like so stressed. What should I
Yeah.
do? How is it gonna be? I was like super worried about it. But then it turned out to be like better than I expected. Things are better here. So like there was a lot of weird and awkward interaction with some people, but
Mm-hmm.
I got like over it, and I don't like hold anything personally most of the time.
Yeah. What are some of those weird, awkward interactions you've had because of being non-LDS in particular?
A lot of them is like they're just like, oh, you're different, you're this international. They feel like sometimes you feel like you're a pet in Israel. They just want to see like something different. Oh, like who's this person? Like they get
Yeah.
super interested quickly, and
Right.
then super uninterested really quickly.
Yeah, that's so true.
So it's
I haven't
like,
thought about it that way before, but it's really true.
yeah. So it's like all my friends, even though like I was like close friends with them because like they always viewed me a little bit differently as you're the international student, you're different. So things were not always the same. Plus international non-member, and whenever you tell someone, oh, I'm a non-member, they don't have to say anything, but you can just look on their face. The interaction is enough to explain what they're feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like that happens almost every time you interact with someone and tell them you're a non-member?
Not every time, but it
Mhm.
happens like a decent amount of time. It's like enough for me sometimes to get annoyed by it. It's like, why is this happening anymore?
Right. Yeah. I
But-
guess I kind of forget too, like how uncommon it is to meet a non-member here because I am one.
I know. It's
So I'm always interacting with people as a non-member, but I forget how uncommon it is for someone who's LDS here to actually meet someone that's not.
I know exactly, especially being the minority or the minority of the minority,
Yeah.
non-member internationals.
Yep.
So it just,
Actually, you're the majority.
yeah.
there's not a lot of domestic non-members that come here.
Actually, that's true.
But yeah, it's kind of a weird niche.
So yeah, I just like sometimes get really interesting because I just want to be treated the same as others. I don't want to have like, oh, you're very special, you're different, we should treat you differently. I don't want that. I just want to say, oh, nice. I want to get the interaction where the same as I got as a kid. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Orthodox, Muslim.
Mhm.
Just like talk to me as a person. It doesn't matter what my background, what my beliefs is, and everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, like love towards people of other religions and more understanding that a person's religion doesn't necessarily define what kind of a person they are. That seems to be a lot more prevalent in areas like Bethlehem, where you're constantly having to interact with people of other faiths, and you don't really you don't have a homogenous enough society to be able to say, I'm just not going to interact with people that are different from me. Would you say that that's kind of been your experience?
I would say yeah, a little bit. It has been like this, as you explained it. Sometimes people just act in a way I don't want. Like some of it is act of like they don't understand what they're doing. It's like they just have grown all their life in Utah. All they've seen is their circle of white member people. They all go to the same church. They always see each other every day. So they're just like seeing something different. Like it's like their instinct just, oh, why is this different? What's happening? And like after the issues with interaction after that, they sometimes take either a negative impact or just like, oh, you're different. I don't want to associate with you.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe even afraid, like don't know how to associate sometimes.
Yeah, that's part of it. Some of them is like they never even interacted with non-members or never saw one before.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that's like they don't know what to say, what to talk. Because a lot of like times when talking to my friends, they talk about a lot about the church, their missions, and everything.
Yeah.
So seeing non-member, they can't relate to all of that and don't know what to say.
Yeah, for sure. What are some experiences you've had here at BYU where you have felt sort of othered by LDS people or friends?
Thankfully, I didn't have as many as other people, but one of them is like just my freshman year, getting like everyone. I was living in Budge, so everyone was still like getting knowing everyone. It was a mess. It was like COVID time. Everyone had no idea what's happening.
Yep.
and a lot of times, like in our friend, like when our friend group was kind of getting formed, it was like, oh hey, nice to meet you. They get like really interested. Oh wow, you're from Bethlehem. I always want to go there. Like we talk about that, and then like soon after that, they'll just like pull themselves out, and it's like, oh, nice to meet you, but that's it. Also, I had like a friend my freshman year. Like I wouldn't call him a friend. I just knew him. But every time he was like hang out with like girls or just anything, I would be like suddenly his school friend. Oh hey, this is my friend from Bethlehem. Come meet him or like whatever. And then he was just like,
Wow.
oh hey, this is Francis, my friend. Come meet him. And I'm like, hey, where are you from? All of that. He just like used me to act cool.
That's terrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Oh my gosh.
But like for me as a type of person, honestly, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
Like
You
I don't care.
you can be the wingman.
So for me, it's like, okay, whatever you're doing, I don't take it personally. So I just like either
Yeah.
ignore him or like, oh, whatever he's doing, I don't want to make it an issue.
That's really gracious of you, all things considered. So how do you think that you have started to find belonging or have found belonging here at BYU now that you're a few years into your experience?
Yeah, I'd say definitely my first year, I didn't feel like I really belonged here, especially like my first year, I kind of separated myself from all of the other like Arab Middle Eastern students. So I only hang out with my American friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, but I didn't feel belonged because like we were friends, but I couldn't like call them my friends. I want to hang out with you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a temporary thing. Oh hey, it was fun, but I never felt like, oh, I really want to spend like hours and hours with you. It all happened a lot after like after the end of the second year. First of all, when COVID like kind of stopped,
Right. COVID was so hard to make friends.
it was really annoying. Also, what helped is like with the Office of Belonging, just like getting to know more Arab students, getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just the Arab, like the Polynesian, like the other culture students. That felt really nice because they kind of understand somewhat of what I'm understanding, being like not white and like diverse from here. That helped a lot. And also, like I just matured in like knowing what kind of relationships that I want to, and started like being more picky in what I thought was a good thing for me and how I went towards my relationships and like talking with friends.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the Office of Belonging?
Yeah, the after blogging has been nice. I've been there since I would say that since they started. I haven't been like part of the like founding or anything or work there, but I've always went there to like just meet and hang out with friends, meet new people, and like go park my scooter.
Yeah, true. He always comes in, parks his scooters. Hey guys, heads out.
And that's part of it. And like honestly, it just feels nice because it's different. I feel like I belong there. People like, oh, they like have either similar backgrounds or understand my background. They don't have to treat me in a different way than other places.
Right. Yeah, I think that's been so awesome for me as well in the Office of Belonging, not feeling like I stick out as much as I do on normal campus. And even though I look LDS, there's definitely difficult moments where people don't realize that I'm not LDS, and so then they talk badly about my religion or other religions because they just assume that I'm LDS. So there's definitely a set of issues with being non-LDS, whether you look Mormon or not.
Me too. Even though I'm like I don't look like an LDS, but I got a lot of comments like people not knowing and just talking about like Catholic or like other stuff, and they're like, oh nice, I'm Catholic. Nice, good to know you. So I'm sure it happens to you much more than it happens to me.
I'm not sure. It kind of depends on the semester, but yeah, it definitely happens. So you have kind of been part of the Arab Student Association, right?
Yes.
And that was restarted last semester, which was fall of 2022.
We started, it started in October.
Yeah.
So just recently.
Yeah, so what's your experience been connecting with other Arab students on campus?
Honestly, it has been amazing. The Arabic Student Association has been a really good addition. I'm like the treasurer of a club. I'm not the founder or the president, but it has been really great. Not just interacting with other Middle Eastern students, but also trying to spread the Middle Eastern culture to campus. The goal of the club is not for Arab students to meet with each other, but for us to get to like expand our culture across campus, show everyone that what the Middle Eastern culture is, what kind of food we like, our traditions, and everything we do. So it has been great, and like we have been a lot of success in our events. The most recent one was the iftar.
Yeah.
It has been great, and it has been like a great part because I got to meet a lot of people who are actually like genuinely interested to know more about me, just talk to me as a person, and get to know more about my culture and how is it different, especially with like what's happening in Palestine and Israel. Like a lot of people just want to come, like, no, just hey, can you just please tell me more about this? So that has been really nice.
Yeah.
People like actually started to open up, want to learn more, get our experiences.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I think for me, I've really appreciated Arab Student Association and just learning more from like how you guys interact between Muslims and Christians. Like in the Arab Student Association, it's predominantly Orthodox or Catholic Christians and then Muslim students.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, like when we had the Ramadan Iftar, which is a Muslim holiday, well, it's part of Ramadan, which is a Muslim holiday. It's not a self-holiday. We really had all the Arab students come and support that, not just the students who were Muslim, and it's just really cool to see how that happens.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, like it doesn't matter like if you're Muslim or Christian. Whenever like there's an event happening or anything, everyone just like want to hop in, help with anything.
Yeah.
So that's like how we like just got used to raise that back home. That whenever like there's an event happening or anything, it doesn't matter my event. If I expect anyone to help me when it's my holiday, my event, I should go out and help someone else. And when it's their holiday, their event, and something's happening.
Right, and it's honestly so much more fun that way. Like
it is. It's like I get to experience some stuff like and like I would have never experienced the other way. And then other people get to experience different stuff they haven't seen about my culture. So it's a really good way to just like include the interaction, get people to know each other better, and just know more traditions and have more fun.
Yeah, completely agree. What is one way you think that we could be better about sort of having that interfaith ethic at BYU where we have people of the LDS faith or other minority faiths willing to interact with each other and participate in each other's traditions?
And one thing I have to say is just having more events on campus that help like with the goal of like being like fostering these interactions between members and non-members. Most of it like has come from our club, but having like other clubs try to do that would be really helpful. Other thing is having like classes, like in classes is a really good way.
So true, yeah.
It's really hard because usually in every class there is one or like two non-members. So it's like a little bit hard. Like if there was like a class specifically just for like members or non-members to interact and have like good conversations, that would be really helpful. Yeah,
it's difficult because there's so few of us, like you said, that it can be kind of hard to facilitate that. But I think at the least I would really appreciate if we had more interfaith leaders being able to come in from other religions just for like short, like one lecture or something in classes where that's going, like other faiths are going to be discussed. Because I find that it's pretty common for other faiths to be discussed in religion classes, and usually it's not very accurate, to be honest, as someone of another faith.
No, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Even like in my non-religion classes, religion and faith is still discussed in them. So I think it's like, as you said, it's really fair to have like maybe a Catholic priest just come to one of like the religion classes and talk about how they believe about stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like right now I'm taking a New Testament class and it's all from one point of view, like the LDS point of view. So it would be nice if like a different faith or like a Catholic or an Orthodox priest just came and talked his opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I don't mind like that it's from an LDS perspective as much as it frustrates me when my perspective is wrongly represented in class, which has happened a lot of times to me. Do you have any experiences with that where your perspective has been wrongly talked about in a class?
Yeah, like in religion, not as much. I had it a little bit, but I had a lot of stuff, especially with like my background about like Palestine and Israel. A lot of the times, like in topics in classes, some random professor just like starts saying random stuff they think it's true, but that's not true. And that just affects so much because the entire class, they have no idea what's happening. So they just go and like get what the professor said, think it's the truth, but it's not like what's actually happening, which is really frustrating. And it happened to me like in like one of the religion classes, but it wasn't as bad as it happened on the political side and the circumstances in Palestine.
Yeah, that's really tough. And it's something I think we really need to be mindful of with classes here and like what you say anywhere. Like this, I mean, this is the general life principle, but I think at BYU sometimes we forget not everyone's LDS here, not everyone's American. And so when you go into a class, whether you're a professor or a student, and start making statements of truth about someone else's religion or country or, you know, whatever different identity that you are not educated on, that can be pretty detrimental to someone's sense of belonging here at BYU. And that's tough. Like you don't want to come in and have that experience your first semester as a freshman. I know I had some experiences early on where a professor said something and I almost walked out of the room because it was so offensive.
Exactly, and as you said, some of it I have to say comes from ignorance of a lot of people.
Yes, definitely.
But it has to, like, people need to understand that if I'm ignorant about this topic, I don't just go tell everyone, oh, hey, this is happening while I don't know much about it.
Yes.
Part of it is just like, there needs to be more awareness about these topics, especially that the non-members were a very small minority. People always forget, oh, there's this opinion, there's the other side of you. They forget about it so quickly that they just like, oh, say whatever they want, thinking, oh, it's fine, we're all members here, no one's gonna care, or whatever's happening.
Yeah.
But I think, just there needs to be more awareness across campus about, like, through different events, and just people themselves needs to work on, like, educating themselves and ask when they don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, if we're in a lecture hall, we're 1 out of 100. Maybe a little less than that in the undergraduate population because a lot of non-members are graduate students and PhD students. But if you're in a lecture hall, the likelihood that there is a non-member in the lecture hall is very, very high. So if you raise your hand and say something that you don't really know if it's true, but you think you kind of have a safeguard because everyone's a member, so they'll probably agree with you, don't say it.
Just keep it.
Just don't say it.
Like you can say just like, hey, I don't know about this, but can someone clarify? Or like there is like a couple of resources. You'll come to the Office of Belonging. There's a lot of ways to like know and get educated about stuff. If you don't know, just don't make assumptions you don't understand. Yeah,
like I don't care if you aren't educated about something. It doesn't, I mean, I think we should do our best to learn as much as we can, but it's not realistic to expect everyone to fully understand. You know, my background is a Protestant and how I grew up, and Francisa's experience growing up with Muslim people in the Middle East and being a Palestinian. So you can't understand everything about everything. We don't expect that. But please, 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 if you don't know what you're talking about with a controversial topic,
just come for us, ask for help, or like
ask about it before you talk about it.
As I said, no one knows everything, so it's very common to say, I don't know this, I don't know that, just ask me for help. And I would love when someone comes to me, hey, do you have some time? I want to talk to you more about this. I want to really understand about this issue. Tell me more about your background. And it's not like just about asking the question. I want to know that, like, oh, after they ask, they really want to know the answer. They're interested in listening and learning. Because I got a lot of feedback from people, oh, this is interesting, tell me more about this. And then when you're talking to them, they're just like, oh, okay, I understand, thank you. It's like, I don't want to just talk to a wall in front of me.
Right.
I want someone who actually wants to, like, listen and understand what I'm saying. And then just ask more questions and show me that you're interested in the topic.
Yep. I think it was Celeste that said that sometimes people talk to her like she's Google. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're a non-member? And then it's just like rapid fire questions. You're like, I don't know.
I definitely got that. It's like, oh, hey, where are you from? What are you doing here? Tell me more about Bethlehem. How is it, the culture there? Like, just tell literally, like, how is it different? They just like start throwing questions left and right. And like, I barely have time to finish the first question. It's like, oh, next question, how's Bethlehem? What do you like about it?
Yeah.
And then just like goes from there. And especially me being from Bethlehem, they just like fire a question behind, like after another. Oh, how's it there? How is it there? Like, how's this place? Did you ever go there? All of that. How's the food? And they're just like, they love, because they just was born from there. They just instantly like ask 100 questions, then back out.
Yes, it's very emotionally exhausting.
It is, I have to say. I mean, for me as a person, I'm not like super emotionally attached to a lot of the stuff.
Oh yeah,
so a lot
for
of the times it's like I separate myself from all of the negative stuff that happens around me, which I have to say helped me a lot at BYU. It's like any bad interactions that happen to me, I kind of just separate myself from it after and like move on, go to the good part. That has been like a really lifesaver for me. Because it didn't like affect my school life or anything. So it always was when anything bad happens, I just like put like a step back, looked at it, okay, this person wasn't interested in this. And then like, okay, I understand it's not gonna get me any benefit talking to him anymore. Just like kind of take a step back, reflect on it later on, and just like move on, not make it a big deal. And that helped me a lot during like BYU years, just getting over stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that you have to do that, but also, some of it's just a general life experience, whether you're a non-member or not. Just learning to not take things as personally, but definitely it applies especially to non-LDS students here, where you're like, I won't take this personally.
Exactly, just like move on.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yep. So what's your biggest advice for people coming here as non-LDS students?
I'd say my biggest advice, don't be afraid to like expand your circle. There might be like there is like some international students, and like so don't be afraid to like make friends with them, but also at the same time expand, make friends with everyone. Even though people like are members, they like don't understand your background. A lot of them are like they're different, so you just need to like experiment and don't be afraid to like just don't limit yourself with one option. Have a lot of friends, go expand, like get to know people as much as you can. Some people will disappoint you, but the other like you'll enjoy them. Like one of my most best friends, she's a member, she's LDS, but like we're just best friends. We hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So just like get out there, put yourself like to everyone and get to know everyone. Don't just like stay shut and like, oh, I'm in my corner with my non-member or like international friends. Just expand more and get to know everyone on campus.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes we expect people to do that in our direction, like if as minorities saying, oh, the LDS people should always be open to being friends with us, but then sometimes in response minorities say, well, but I don't need to be friends with them.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. And like it definitely happened to me a little bit where sometimes I forgot that, the same way as I expect people to reach out and ask me, I need to be willing to reach out, get to know people more, and like just ask them, like interact with them the same way I want them to interact with me.
Yeah.
And that's like one thing. That's one thing I believe in life. If I expect something from someone, I should like treat them the same way. And I think that applies to the same way as relationships and getting to meet people. Just make yourself out there, get to know everyone. Just be genuinely be happy and make friends.
How do you feel like your relationship with your personal faith has changed or stayed the same since you've been at BYU?
Okay, I have to say, for me, like especially at first, this first semester, I kind of like just took a step back from all religion and everything. Like it was just a lot of overwhelming with like everyone LDS just talk about like, oh, this LDS, I'm gonna go on a mission, I'm applying for my papers. That was a big topic with everyone.
Right.
So I kind of like took a step back my first semester and year, but now I'm kind of like exploring myself more because like all my life I haven't been a very religious or like spiritual person. So I'm still like, I'd say on my journey exploring myself, like what do I actually believe in, what works best for me. One thing I believe in, there isn't a perfect religion. All of them have a flaw in them. So for me, just like I believe in finding bits of parts of different religions and making it what works best for me. Because at the end, God's not gonna say, oh, you're not following this religion, you're a bad person or whatever. So for me, it's just like finding what I believe in, what I want to do as a person, and going with that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing. Do you have anything else that you would like LDS people to know? Like BYU, let's start with BYU students that are LDS. What would you like them to know about non-LDS students?
I have to say, we're people like you are. We're all like the same. So never be afraid to like just come up, talk to us, ask us any questions. We're always more than like, we love to talk to you about our background, our faith, our culture, and everything. Just come to us, always like talk with the intention to listen and understand, not just ask. We would love like deep conversations like about any topic. Just be genuine about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what everyone said. So really good advice. We all agree. And then what would you say to professors at BYU that are trying to work with non-LDS students?
I have to say, professors, they have a lot of responsibilities because they don't only have to like interact with non-member or like international students. Also, anything they say wrong, they can like inflict response to other like all of the other students who don't understand.
Yeah.
They will change their opinion and point of view about the topic. So I say they have to be like more careful, and as students, like we would love to talk. And I have to say, most non-member students, when like they go to especially religion professors, they go talk to them early on, telling them, "Hey, I'm not a member. Hey, what can you do that?" So it's really nice if you don't know anything, you can tell, "Hey, I'm interested in this. Let's set a time to talk more about it, so I can reflect a good opinion about class." I think it's a good way, just like for professors to like reach out to students. Sometimes, if they want to, like just let the student share their opinion to the entire class if it's a religion topic or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
be
don't put us
open.
on the spot, though.
Oh,
But,
no, not on the spot.
But I had one religion professor who I told early on I was a non-member, as you usually do here. It's not like we have to, but most of us do, just because assignments will come up where they're like, explain how this has increased your testimony of the gospel. And you're like, it
Doesn't
hasn't.
apply.
In A. So, yeah, we usually tell them pretty early on. And I had one professor that did a whole, like, day or two explaining the Trinity. I honestly don't remember how this was even relevant to the class, but she was explaining it. And she came up to me before the class and said, hey, I'm going to be talking about the Trinity. If I say anything wrong, please feel free to correct me, and also I'll ask you to make sure that what I said was not misrepresenting you. And I really appreciated that because she wasn't pretending to know everything, and she was giving me the opportunity, if I wanted to be prepared for what was coming and be willing to respond to it. And I was able to say, like, I think she ended up basically just emphasizing that the Trinity doesn't make sense. Which is
Not the idea.
which is not the vibe. But she used Christian quotes to do it, so it was
It's really nice. No, honestly,
Yeah,
whenever
but-
professors reach
yeah.
out to like just get to know something,
yeah.
it shows like how meaningful they are, that they actually like want to help the class understand you and like just be more careful.
Yeah.
So that's always really nice when
Yeah.
professors do that.
Right. And we're not being nitpicky about it. Like, I don't expect my professors to be like, I'm so sorry about this and that, or like try and like warn me for every single time they're gonna mention religion. But just as a general rule, just please don't talk about a religious topic regarding another faith if you don't actually know anything about that faith, or if you've never talked to someone of that faith. And also assume, if you're going to say anything, that there are non-LDS students in your class, because
There always is
Yeah.
one at least or more non-LDS student in the class.
Yeah.
Because I mean we're a little, but we're like spread across campus,
mhm,
so there's always someone in the class. Even like when there isn't, I know like a lot of my friends, they like come to me, hey, in my class, my professor said this, and that. Like
Yeah.
even if there isn't, my friends will come tell me like, oh hey, this professor said these stuff, they were totally wrong. Everyone was annoyed by it, all
Yeah.
of that. So just be
Yeah.
careful.
the crazy things. What are the craziest things you've heard said about other religions in classes?
Let me try. I'm trying to remember. I'm bad at remembering these stuff.
Oh, I'll say one while you're thinking. So I had a professor who said that, he said, I don't think Orthodox Christians would say it this way, but they do believe they're going to be gods one day.
And for me, it definitely happened. There was like one professor, I don't remember,
Uh-huh.
but he basically kind of told the class a map of Palestine, how things are,
Mhm.
and it was like completely messed up, not how it is. Like he was messing up all of like the historic locations, what actually happened, and like he was telling wrong stuff about like what Christians think about Jesus, and like how he grew up, and a lot of people think it's like, oh, Christians think that Jesus did a lot of different stuff in his life, but I'd say there wasn't a major thing like, oh, this is like a total red flag.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I didn't have one of those like interactions.
Good, yeah. And you're a computer science major? Computer
Yeah.
science?
I'm a computer science major,
Yeah.
and on the side, entrepreneurship, you can say.
Yeah,
That was a part of that, so both classes.
super cool. Well, do you have any last thoughts about being a non-LDS student at BYU?
I definitely have to say it's a really like a unique, one of a lifetime opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the usual college experience everyone would be expecting coming to BYU, but I have to say it's at the end it's a nice experience. It just shapes you as a person to learn from what's happening. It made me more aware of like how actually things are. Not everyone's gonna understand, or like, oh, in Bethlehem everyone didn't care about religion, but I
Mhm.
understood that it's not the same all around the world. So just like it made me grow as a person, and it was really nice.
Yeah. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in your time at BYU?
The biggest lesson I learned, actually, just like paying more attention to what people are saying and listening more meaningful. Because I also used to be bad at this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the things is I learned to be better at it because I was expecting people to do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned how to listen more and just like be respectful to everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel like you belong here?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, I feel I don't fully belong here. But spending a lot of time in the office of belonging or my friends make me feel like, oh, I belong in here. This like I need to be here. Part of it's like I feel like I want to belong because BYU needs more diversity. So having that is like, oh, I belong here because I'm part of the minority to make diversity. But the other part is when I'm like a lot of my American like member friends, sometimes I feel I don't belong with them. It's like the topics they're interested in or what they're talking about. I don't feel like I belong with them.
It's very interesting. I think that's been most of the answers so far has been, do you feel like you belong? Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic for sure.
Definitely like there's you can say a gray area where like sometimes
Yep.
you feel you do, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And just work your way through like making the best out of it.
Yep. I feel like, like walking out of our Ramadan iftar like 11 p.m. with like LDS students, Muslim students, Protestant students, Catholic students, and I'm like, I feel like I belong here.
Exactly.
Like everyone loves each other. And then there's, the day I walk into class and someone says something and I'm like, I hate this place. Like,
Yep.
And I don't really, but there's moments where
there's
it's
some
really
moments.
difficult to not feel that way.
Exactly. And like just being a huge campus, it's hard to always feel belong. Like not
Yeah,
everyone
for
is
sure.
the same. So I don't think like in any school you can feel belonged all
No.
the time. But being a non-member adds to it. It's like because religion is a very big topic at BYU.
Yep.
Not being from that religion makes you feel like, oh, you're outed of this group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like when I just talk to my cousins, they go to like schools, different places. Like the religion is not a topic, so it's like everyone
Exactly.
kind of like they feel belonged. It doesn't matter like your background or anything. You're just like another student that this is your school.
Yeah, and I think it's even like the non-member experience is a little bit more complex than just being a minority because, like you said, it's not just that we are the 1% of religion, it's that this school is based around that religion that the 99% share. Which again, it was our choice to come here, obviously, but
Exactly.
it does leave us in a very unique position where the thing that makes us a minority is actually the focus of our education
Exactly.
in a lot of ways, and so. Yeah, it's definitely a unique experience, but I'm glad I came here. Are you glad that you came here?
Yeah, I'm really glad. That's a nice experience.
Well, what would be your number 2 choice if you could go to a different school?
I wanted to go to Harvard.
Heck yeah!
I'm still aiming Harvard Business School, hopefully.
Okay, yeah.
So
I
the goal
believe.
is still there. Or Stanford, MIT, one of those.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you, Leah. It was amazing.